Mr. President, nice to see you, sir.
Morning.
Welcome to the United States.
Thank you. I like it.
But we're happy to have you here. Back home, you have a serious problem with refugees. Can you tell me the problem? Can you explain it?
The problem is that the war in Syria and other turbulences in this area made many people to flee, they are afraid for their lives and for their families, and their goal is Europe. And inside Europe, it is in particular countries like Austria, Germany, Sweden, 2 or 3 others who have the main burden. And that means that the number of refugees seeking for asylum is clear and strong, rising. And the numbers are very big in relation to the size of our country. And therefore, we want to be, on the one hand, absolutely according to international law, to the Geneva rules, to the principle of asylum. On the other hand, we must work hard in a fair solution and to tackle the reasons for this emigration and for this great number of refugees. And I think one reason is on the international level. We need a consensus to stop the war in Syria and to make this region more stable. A second level is the European level, fair distribution. And of course, we have to do our homework at home and to optimize our policy and our situation.
Do you know the composition? Are they mostly from Syria, or are they from some other nations as well, these refugees?
We have quite correct and exact figures. The biggest number is definitely from Syria. Number 2 is Iraq. Number 3 is Afghanistan. Number 4 is changing according to the situation of policy in this area. But the Syrians are definitely number 1.
So, for the most part, they're fleeing war and not just simply to live in a better place or get a better job. They're fleeing for their lives.
That's a good question. And the most parts are fleeing the war and fleeing the situation after bombing and after losing members of their families and after losing jobs, etc. And they have terror and they have an unacceptable situation. But of course, it may be that some of them are those who say Europe is relatively open and we use this opportunity, we try to come to Europe. But the majority are really miserable people, poor people who want to save their lives and the lives of their members of the family.
By the time they get to Austria, what is their condition usually?
It's different, but I myself went to the main railway station in Vienna and was looking at the spot and talking to people who helped them, and even to talk to some of the refugees, because there are lots of interpreters at the railway station to make them easier to find their way. And they are partly freezing, they partly had for longer time nothing to eat, they have not adequate clothing, but the Austrian population really is very helpful, and in the main stations there are stores to put in things the refugees need, in particular clothing and anoraks and pullovers and etc., and they are full because Austrian people try to help as good as they can.
Do you have a sense that the world is doing what it needs to, in the sense that I realize that many pass through Austria to Germany, but are other nations helping out? Is the United States, for instance, doing what it can to help?
Well, I must, as you did mention Germany, the cooperation with Germany is excellent. Germany is a country 10 times as big, 10 times as many inhabitants, 10 times GNP. And also the relation of refugees is roughly 1 to 10. So there is a sort of balance between Germany, and without Germany taking a big part of our refugees, we really couldn't manage. Other countries in Europe, I do not want to be impolite outside from Europe, but the readiness to help is not on the same level in all European countries. Some of them want to bow away and to hope that the flow of refugees will pass them and they will not be inflicted so much. This is one fact. Secondly, when I said at the beginning we need a solution on the origin places of refugee streams in Middle East, our government made a proposal in the European institutions to make a big attempt financed by Europe, by Gulf states, by the United States, to make the places for refugees on the spot in northern Africa much better than it is now, because this would be one of the real helpful activities to stop the great drain, the great flow of refugees to Europe.
One of the leaders, I think it was the Chancellor of Austria, compared this like the deportation in the Holocaust of Jews. Is it that an ugly situation?
No. This was not his wording. He had a controversy with the Prime Minister of Hungary, which is a neighboring country. We usually have excellent relations, but in that case we had the feeling they're just sending everybody over the border without even informing us sufficiently. So there was a controversy, but to make any comparison with the time of Nazi regime is totally not the facts respecting.
I've been to refugee camps in Iraq and in South Sudan, and the refugees that I've been able to communicate with, there's always a language barrier, want to go home. They don't want to go other places. Do you have the sense that the bulk of people showing up in Austria would rather go home to a safe Syria than go on to Europe, Western Europe?
Well, I can tell you my opinion. At the beginning of the war in Syria, in the first half year, in the first year, many refugees went from Syria to neighboring countries, staying in Turkey, in Jordan, in Lebanon, hoping that the war will be ended soon and then they can come back. Now, you know, I know the war is lasting longer already than the whole World War I. And so many refugees have the feeling we are waiting in vain for a situation where we can go home to a safe Syria. And this is an additional reason that they say, we have to find a better place. This area is unacceptable for long staying. We cannot go home. We try to find a place in Europe. This is the problem of today. And those who are in Europe, part of them will go back, but a part of them will try to become integrated and to stay in Europe.
What kind of burden is this on Austria?
Pardon me?
What kind of burden on Austria?
The burden for our country, well, it's a financial problem, and to a certain extent it's a psychological problem. Then in every European country, there is a mood. We are ready to take refugees, like we did during the Hungarian Revolution in '56. But if the number is too big, we are afraid. We became unsafe. We become uneasy, and so it's a political burden, a psychological burden, a financial burden. But I am committed to, so to say, the basic values, the basic international rules, that asylum is a right for human beings, and you have to do everything to give asylum to those who need it.
What can the United States do to help?
They can help to stop the war in Syria. They can help to finance or co-finance big refugee areas with good living conditions. And of course, they can accept refugees themselves. During the Hungarian Revolution, 2/3 of the Hungarians went to the United States, and now they are good citizens with Hungarian names. They Their name is Kovac, and I don't know Laszlo, but they are Americans, and this is also a way to help.
Well, I must say that Austria, from afar, seems to be being very generous and very helpful to this, because I know that it's a problem, and I must say that I admire Austria for all you're trying to do.
Well, that's very kind, and I'm very proud if this is an image of my country here in the United States. I don't say we do not make mistakes or something can be done better, but in general, as well as social democrats, as Christian democrats, and the church, and civil society, and many others say that's our duty, and we do it. We also have opposition and those who criticize it, but in general, I'm happy to hear from you. And 2 days ago, the Secretary General of United Nations, Ban Ki-moon, told me the same, that he is having a very good judgment on our attempt to help to solve these problems.
It's a very difficult problem.
It is.
Mr. President, thank you very much.
You're welcome.